I want to welcome you all to a very special event. Every white coat ceremony is a special event. This is particularly special for us in the School of Medicine in that we are welcoming the last of what we'll call the founding classes of the medical school. This is our fourth class, and this is the first time that we've had a complete enrollment. So it is a milestone day not only for you, the students, but for all of us who supported and put the school together. I'd like to start this proceeding this afternoon by thanking many people. Now, of course, we're going to thank first the students who make this possible, because without you, there is no event. And we would like to thank all of the family and friends who have come here to support you. This year, for the first time, we are streaming this event live, so that if there are family and friends who cannot be here in presence, at least they can participate long distance. In addition, I would like to thank some very special people who came here today. I'd like to thank especially the Oakland University members of their Board of Trustees. We have Chairman Michael Kramer, Trustee Monica Emerson, Trustee Mark Schlussel. And of course, we would like to thank the Oakland University leadership, Dr. Betty Youngblood, Interim President, Dr. James Lentini, our Provost. And Betty, I'd like to pause for a moment and thank you very much for the role that you played as Interim President and the support and the engagement with the School of Medicine. On behalf of all of us, thank you so much. The School of Medicine has only one clinical teaching site. That's unusual for schools of medicine. We don't farm our students out to multiple hospitals. Beaumont is our only clinical training site. We're very proud of the fact that Beaumont Health System, its hospital, Beaumont Royal Oak, #1 hospital in the state of Michigan. Congratulations to Beaumont. Representing Beaumont today from the Board of Directors are Stephen Howard, Chair of the Board of Directors. And is Ann here today? No. I will then go on and please welcome Mr. Gene Machowski, Chief Executive Officer of Beaumont Health System. And Dr. David Wood, who's Executive Vice President and Chief Medical Officer of Beaumont, and David will be participating in the ceremony later. Thank you. I would also like to thank many of the people who put this occasion together, and specifically I'd like to thank the group and the office of the Center for Medical Student Services, and in particular, Patty Gillespie, who coordinated this. And I'd like to also thank the volunteer team. For those of you who don't know, we had many, many volunteers from students in the second, third, and fourth classes who engaged with the students in the first class to make this week happen so smoothly. And I'd also like to thank members of my staff, especially Kathy Welch in the Dean's office, for helping to engage with all of this. And finally, a big thanks to everyone at Meadowbrook Hall. This is a very special venue. If you haven't been here before, we hope you enjoy it. And the staff at Meadowbrook always helps us to put on a very special event. And finally, in the way of thanks, we would like to thank a very distinguished and special guest, Oakland County Executive, Mr. L. Brooks Patterson, for whom the School of Medicine has been a passion. Thank you very much, Brooks. Gratitude is a key value of the School of Medicine. We'll say thank you again later on.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to take a couple of minutes and tell you a little bit about this remarkable class of 2018. While I do that, please enjoy a slideshow with some photos of the newest kids on the block. You, the class of 2018, are amazing. You have visited over 100 countries, including Kenya, Macedonia, Bangladesh, Laos, and Zimbabwe. You've completed your studies at 48 different undergraduate institutions, and as a group, you report having spent well over 16,000 hours providing service to your local community, to your school, and abroad. Over the past 4 years, you have been cheering with Prospector Pete, Cosmo the Cougar, Herky the Hawkeye, Goldie Gopher, Oski the Bear and Scotty the Bear, Otto the Orange, Sam the Minuteman, Sebastian the Ibis, Sparky the Firebird, Stormy the Shark, and W the Warrior, who is a dinosaur version of Marvin the Martian. The Fighting Irish, the Spartans, King Triton, the Knights, Lakers, and Pilots. You have been rooting for your teams with Bears, Bulldogs, Cougars, Cardinals, Dragons, Eagles, and Great Danes. Grizzlies, Owls, Penguins, Sea Lions, Terrapins, Tigers, Wildcats, and of course, many Wolverines. Some of the things you told us about your favorite service project are tutoring elementary school children with the Detroit Fellows Tutoring Project kindled a fire of acquiring knowledge through books that will hopefully lead children to attain heights they never even dreamed of. Relay for Life was one of your favorite projects because cancer has touched so many people close to you. Removing hazardous waste and subsequently building a park in a West Bank neighborhood was your favorite project because it was an international collaboration between local Palestinians, Americans, Israelis, and Europeans. Traveling to Panama and assisting doctors helped you learn the importance of adapting when faced with adversity. As a Teach for America special ed teacher, you were challenged to see inequalities that you had no idea existed. Even though you were the teacher, the students and families taught you so many important lessons and skills. Tutoring immigrant students was important to you, as you are an immigrant as well. It was in your service trip to Costa Rica where you found the courage and humility to make a difference in the lives of those in your own community. Your trips to Haiti and Cambodia were rewarding because you were able to witness not just the physical healing that occurred, but also the empowerment of individuals through health education so they could make a lasting impact on their community. You enjoyed coaching a special needs soccer team because you got to see the players grow on and off the field. Working with Collect Detroit was extremely fulfilling because it provided a service that you and your family once required when arriving in this country. You taught children with cystic fibrosis how to surf, and you enjoyed befriending courageous children who had such a positive outlook on life. When you're not studying, you enjoy home brewing, painting, knitting, watching hockey, crafting and traveling, video games, doing jigsaw puzzles, reading, ballroom dancing, avian breeding, playing with your puppy Yuba, attending Detroit's sporting events, collecting keychains from places all over the world, and spending time with family and friends. Quite a few of you, as a matter of fact. You enjoy music. We have amongst us a ukulele player, quite a few pianists, guitarists, a violinist, and someone who played the piccolo in the marching band. You enjoy singing and group jam sessions. The foodies among us love to cook and eat. One of you is trying to master the art of making hummus and hope to share the dish with all of us someday. And one of you has cooked restaurant-quality French fries at home. There's not a lot of couch potatoes in this group of students. Some of your favorite ways to stay active include rock climbing, horseback riding, ping pong, ballroom dancing, basketball, water sports, because you were a synchronized swimmer for 9 years, ultimate frisbee, surfing, swimming, snowboarding, going on runs and hikes, canoeing, boogie boarding, bouldering, and kayaking. One of you was a badminton champion, and one of you an AAU bench press champion. Okay, so there was only one other person in your age, weight, and class, but we're still impressed. One of you played the past 2 NCAA Men's Division #1 basketball tournaments. Outdoor activities that you like include gardening, hunting, and fly fishing. The artists among you enjoy anything art and art history related. One of you has been sculpting since the age of 9. You enjoy anything involving arts, crafts, and ceramics, charcoal drawing, and wood sculpting. One of you is a slam poet and has taken part in the University of Michigan slam poetry team. You told us that you enjoy fixing things from cars to washing machines. You enjoy cocktail mixology, learning new languages, and spending time with the love of your life, Samantha. We asked you to tell us something interesting about you, and we found out that you can talk about food and sports for days, played semi-pro women's football for 8 years, love to hand-carve bows, speak fluent Norwegian, jumped out of a boat at night into a Belize river and caught a 3-foot crocodile with your bare hands. You just returned from your second spearfishing trip in the Bahamas, had a pet goat as a child. You were once chased down a road by a rooster. You rode a camel in Morocco and was then henna tattooed by force in the Marrakech Square. Your nickname means fat or chubby in Chinese because you were skinny as a child and your parents wanted you to be chubby. You were a competitive gymnast for over 18 years. 2 of you can solve the Rubik's Cube in 1 minute, and 1 of you can do it in 14 seconds. I think there's a little competition brewing. You named your cats after favorite rappers. As a child, you sang for the president of the Czech Republic. You love to dance and won't stop dancing. However, you're pretty sure you're not a very good dancer. You love to hula hoop and do many tricks with it. You've been in a contemporary hip-hop crew for 5 years. You went to every home basketball and football game during your 4 years at Michigan. And lastly, you are only here today because your OWL acceptance letter to Hogwarts got lost. Thank you, class of 2018, for sharing yourselves with us. We really look forward to being your partner in education for the next 4 years. So now to the white coats. The donning of the white coats marks the beginning of each student's journey to becoming a physician. For more than 100 years, the white coat has been worn by physicians and students, symbolizing the trust between patient and physician. Today, in the presence of family and friends, our students are welcomed into the profession and ceremonially cloaked by their Prism faculty mentor. The Prism Mentor is a Beaumont physician who will guide a group of 20 students over the next 4 years. This mentor will provide support for students as they grow both personally and professionally. We feel that it's fitting for the mentor to mark this event by assisting each student with their coat for the first time. Our physician mentors for the class of 2018 are Dr. Kenneth Bark from colorectal surgery, Dr. Sharon Geimer, internal medicine pediatrics, Dr. Varsha Karamchandani, psychiatry, Dr. Leah Myers, family medicine, and Dr. Edward Walton from emergency medicine. By establishing this ritual at the beginning of medical school, we are reinforcing the notion that responsibility of being a physician starts today. This ceremony highlights the primacy of the doctor-patient relationship and the obligation to strive for excellence, to show compassion, and to lead lives of righteousness and honor. Also joining us on the stage today will be Dr. David Wood, Executive Vice President and Chief Medical Officer, President of Beaumont Physician Partners, Beaumont Health System, and Professor, Department of Urology, Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. Dr. Wood is presenting each student with a gift on behalf of the Beaumont doctors. Dr. Bark, please come to the stage. Lola Adekumbi. Marcus Allen. Anita Bajpai. Jonathan Chow. Sarah Corral. Azarel Dunbar. Lisa Galasso. Morgan Gruner. McCall Heineke. Virpal Carr. Mary Koch. Lauren Lenzian. Brian Liu. Hiroko Nakahama. David Wynn. Zed Patel. Fred Nazi Kafiti. Human Sadain. Rachel Schneider Dearden. Travis James Strope. Tom Weiner. Thank you, Dr. Bark. Dr. Sharon Geimer is making her way up to the stage with her group. Enos Al-Khatib. William Ascool. Aaliyah Chang. Benjamin Clement. Andrew Dearden.
Sharon, you're making them do limbo.
Victoria Catherine Francis. Michael Goldstein. Joseph Hedden. Megan Shu. Rudra Joshi. Austin Knapp. Thomas LaRue. Anne Lovelace. Scott Myers. Rachel Nash.
Trying to make it look a little better.
Eleni Poling. Jabber Saad. Brianna Ray Schmidt. Jatin Sharma. Alan Wong. Thank you, Dr. Geimer. Dr. Varsha Karamchandani. Akila Alapati. Milan Anderson. Daniel Bloomer. Megan Cheslock. Kelly Curran. Kyle Eaton. Sachi Gianchandani. Cassandra Hastings. Jonathan Hu. Humaira Khan. Wanda Lai. Aaron Lloyd. Olti Messi. George Nasser. Evan Palamara. Krina Patel. Jonathan Recknagel. Iman Salul. Adam Schwark. Angela Thalen. David Wigman. Thank you, Dr. Kumjani. Dr. Leah Myers. Asan Akram. Ashley Aller. Justin Barbot. Patricia Chasinski. Jeffrey Cross. Jop V. Yoon. Rafaela Genova. Dorota Gutt. Bashar Kazanji. Harjivan Kohli. Melody Lynn. Cade McQuivy. Alan Nelson. Eugene O. Neil Patel. Timothy Powell. Ebony Reed. Callie Sarianis. Kevin Serdali. Jenny Trung. Catherine M. Williams. Thank you, Dr. Myers. Dr. Edward Walton. Sinan Albir. Ashley Anderson. Miriam Baksh. Elise Clark. Tiffany Dow. John Fortunato. Slavica Georgievska. Stacy Hata. Rami Jurgis. Joseph Kim. Patsorn Laikitrung. Elin Loy. Omar Moinuddin. Joseph Chifor. Jonathan Park. Craig Joseph Profont. Danielle Reba. Kevin Schachter. Joseph Tran. Shantil Ulatowski. Thank you, Dr. Walton, and thank you to all of our Prism mentors. Thank you, Dr. Wood.
Well, what follows is actually a class. It turns out that I had the privilege of teaching the first class of medical school to the class of 2018 on Monday morning, and I promised them it was a two-part class. This is part two. Now, for those who missed the first class, which is the rest of us, let me tell you what we covered. Every year, when medical students come to OUWB, we ask them to ask of themselves two questions. So those who were here last year will remember the two questions. And those are, what do I want to do? And who do I want to be? On Monday, we talked about what do I want to do? The techniques about how one masters the acquisition of knowledge. For the parents and significant others and spouses in the room, students tell us, it's a fire hydrant of information. I'm sipping it through a straw. The last question is, who do I want to be, is a bit different. And that's what the subject is today, because this is the beginning of the study of medicine in another dimension. Back in 2017, the American Medical Association, and we have a representative of the president of the Michigan State Medical Society here, our chair of anesthesiology, Dr. Jim Grant, on the first row. So the AMA said the following. They were concerned, and I'll quote from it, that the emphasis on medical students acquiring knowledge and problem solving may lead to physicians to perceive that patients are simply sources of data and problems to be solved instead of individuals in need. And in the words of a Beaumont physician who is here today, he's come to every white coat ceremony, Dr. David Forst, I know you can train a doctor to be academically excellent. My challenge to you, how do you train a physician to be kind? Now, many students, including every member of the class of 2018, because I got a chance to meet them on Monday morning and through the halls during the week, told us that they're coming to medical school with an elevated level of enthusiasm. Some will even tell you, I hope to use medicine as a tool to change the world. So with this, I'd like to go back to how you change the world. We had an honors convocation this past spring, and actually next year, there will be a new tradition, and the honors convocation will always occur the day before graduation. That will be the new tradition for us. And our speaker for Honors Convocation was my esteemed colleague at the Geisel School of Medicine at Dartmouth, Dr. Dean Chip Chova. And he taught us the following. He said, in order to lead, and he is probably the expert in the scholarship of leadership in medicine. He says, in order to lead, leadership begins with leading oneself. You can't lead other people unless you have changed yourself in order to lead. At OUWB, we kind of approach it in a different way, and we look at the power of yourself in the dimensions other than the knowledge you acquire and the technical skills you master. And I'm going to go back to a story that comes from a student of character development from the 19th century. His name was Israel Salanter. And I'm going to translate it and make it contemporary for a 21st century audience. And this is the way it goes. I really thought I could change the world, but I couldn't. So I worked on changing my country and really fell short. So then I worked on my town, my community, and didn't make much of a dent. I tried my family, came up short there too, and it was then that I realized that the only person I can really change is myself. But when I changed myself, I changed my family, and the ripple effect goes on. It's part of the curriculum that we have here at OUWB. It's interspersed throughout the curriculum, and I'll come back and cite an observation that was published just last week in the Detroit News from a leader in medical education in the United States who had something to say about our approach. It's not just a course. There is a Prism course, but there's more to it. Last year, I challenged the class of 2017 and the entire medical school to focus on the personal attribute of expressing gratitude. And the reason we chose that is that it is very, very hard to say thank you at the same time you're being arrogant. So that gratitude, saying thank you, is a way of almost immunizing oneself against an attribute that can be detrimental to the practice of medicine. And we talked last year about the fact that if you get used to saying thank you to the cleaning crew at night who is preparing Godowd Hall and making it fresh for the next morning, and you used to saying thank you to your teachers and the people who are in the staff, it'll come as you as second nature to thank a nurse when you're at Beaumont. And when you do that, that builds teamwork, and you'll have friends for life in the medical staff. In fact, our assistant dean, Dr. Sandy LeBlanc, started an interesting tradition in the School of Medicine. We have a gratitude jar. There are scraps of paper in the Center for Medical Student Services, just as you come in, off to the side in the reception area, and you can write on a piece of paper, I am grateful for. Put it in the jar anonymously. And we invite people, when they come to the center, to just pull out a piece of paper and see how other folks are doing. So I'm recommending that we continue that emphasis on saying thank you as an antidote against arrogance, and add another attribute to it, and that's generosity. So you're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm just starting medical school. He's hitting me up for donations already. We will when you're alumni. It's guaranteed. But I'm going to define generosity in another dimension. I'm going to start by asking medical students, because this is really hard. You know, white coat ceremony is a natural high, and within 6 weeks, I'm going to be back inside the class just trying to pull you back up again. All right, it just gets really hard. See if you can cultivate a generous spirit so that even in the roughest day, when you come home to a roommate, a spouse, a significant other, you get a phone call from your college roommate, you have enough energy left to be generous enough to listen to how their day went. See how they're doing. Now let's go beyond that. You know, we have Compass, a Center for Community Engagement, and you can volunteer, maybe take on an extra activity. Okay, that's 2. But I'd like to define generosity in another dimension, and that is giving other people the benefit of the doubt. See, that has a lot to do for building community. And there's an insert in your program that has the patch that our medical students have. And you'll notice that the emblem for the medical school are 2 concentric circles. An outer circle of gold representing Oakland University, and an inner circle of burgundy representing Beaumont. We talked on Monday about the fact that those are symbols for a community. Everyone in a community is a point on that circle. And if but one point drops off, you don't have a community anymore. That's part of our approach to diversity and inclusion, but it's part of our purpose in building you up and having you practice these skills on the way to becoming a physician. Let me give you an example of this. We lost a very beloved member of our founding team, Dr. Michelle Rabel. She came up from Chicago, and she was one of the people who contributed heavily to the development of the curriculum that you're going to experience. And 2 days after we received preliminary accreditation, Michelle, who was a hematologist, received a diagnosis of leukemia. And sadly, we lost Michelle 4 months later. She would have loved to have been here to meet you. I'm going to take you back to what happened before Michelle came here and show you the power of a community. So Michelle, turns out, was my vice chair when I was chair of pathology at University of Illinois in Chicago. Michelle was vice chair for education. And there was a task that she had to accomplish. It was very complex. She had to merge 2 residency programs into one. And what happened in that year is that the residents didn't know from month to month where they would be the next month. Would they be in this rotation, that rotation? It was on the fly. And the residents became very, very upset because they couldn't make plans for vacation. They couldn't make plans for, all right. So it's a little bit before social networking, and what happens goes on to email, and it goes something like this. I guess Dr. Rabel doesn't care about us anymore. I suppose Dr. Rabel's too engaged in her master's program to pay attention to us, and so on and so forth, until someone hit a reply button and included her in the thread. Now, Michelle had flaming red hair, for those who remember her, and her picture is still on our website in the administration section. And she came into my office. Her face was the color of her hair. And I've never seen this combination of emotions. It was fury and sadness. She had tears streaming down her face, and she'd say, how could they think that of me? So the next day, we were scheduled to have chairman's rounds for the residents. So for those who aren't in the practice of medicine, chairs of departments will frequently meet with the residents once a month, and they review difficult cases and challenging concepts. I canceled the difficult cases, and we read a journal article out loud, paragraph by paragraph, except it wasn't from the medical literature. It was from a book called The Other Side of the Story. And I'll paraphrase it for you. And Mr. Michalski is going to remember this, because we told this story at the night of my interview here. And here's the story. So a man, father of the bride, is preparing for his daughter's wedding, and he needs to hire a photographer. So he asked for a recommendation. Who do you recommend? I have a name in mind. Oh, I wouldn't hire him. Why wouldn't you hire him, his friend said. Because the last wedding he worked, he came in halfway through. Did you ever hear something like this? Halfway through the wedding, a photographer should show up? And he said, you know what? I know that you're a very principled person, so go ahead and ask the person who did the music at the event. And he'll tell you, he did, he asked. Dejected, couldn't make the recommendation. He ran into the photographer a short time after that and said, you know, I recommended you for a job, be a photographer at a wedding, and they told me the last wedding you worked, you came in halfway through. He said, yeah, let me tell you about that. The photographer they hired didn't show up, and I got a call, so I got there as fast as I could. Why did you ask? The room of my residence went very, very quiet. People thought for a minute, and one hand shot up and said, is that about Dr. Rabel? And one of the things that we talked about is whenever you hear something and you can come to a conclusion that is adverse, that puts somebody in a bad light, can you automatically kick in a program that can come up with 3 to 5 alternative explanations? Somebody didn't return my email. Maybe they didn't get it. Maybe it didn't send. Maybe it ended up in a spam filter. Maybe they were on vacation. Come up with 3 or 5. I'm going to give you some other examples, and we're going to get it right down to the practice of medicine. But before I do that, there was a dinner meeting when I was being interviewed here, and that was the night that Dr. Forst asked the question, how do you train a physician to be kind? And I actually related that story. On the way back to the hotel, Mr. Machowski drove me back to the hotel, and he says, we have a very similar training story at Beaumont. Let me share it with you. So, Jen, I'm going to share it with them. The story that Beaumont used in the day was a subway car in Manhattan, in New York. And there is a man standing on in a packed car holding on to a railing, if I recall this correctly, Gene. And there are several children running up and down the car screaming. And they seem to be gravitating back to this man who's standing there very stoically holding on to the pole. So finally, one of the passengers, seeing these children out of control, assumes that the person handing onto the pole is the father, goes over to him and says, sir, are these your children? He said, yeah. Can't you keep them under control? To which the man said, I wish I could. They just lost their mother. That not only speaks to giving people the benefit of the doubt, I was really convinced after hearing Dr. Ford's question and Mr. Machowski relate that story to me, that Beaumont would be a great place to be a partnership because they would value the humanistic approaches to medicine in addition to the scientific skill and the technical expertise. Sometimes you will hear people be described in unflattering ways. One of the things that permeates medicine is she's brilliant, but she's hard to get along with. Did you ever work with her? Let me give you another example. I can recall working at an institution in Washington, D.C. at the time. It's called the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology. And our competition was at Johns Hopkins up the road in Baltimore. And there was a time when I was invited, representing my institution, to go down and teach in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And now the easiest way to get from Baltimore and Washington down to Chapel Hill is to take the train. It's not to drive or to fly. So I get on the train, and 2 of my colleagues from Johns Hopkins are on the train, and they won't say hello to me. They're in the car. It's reserved. I know who they are. They didn't talk to me for 2 days. On the way home, they said to me, you know, we're in competition with you all, and we were just told that you're like really aggressive and, you know, you're just really hard to get. I said, but we worked here for 2 days, and we'd like to keep working with you. And that evolved into 2 lifelong friendships. Now, I use myself as an example because I want to introduce you to a couple of other concepts. As students, you may hear a rumor, oh, a faculty member who's scheduled for Tuesday morning at 9, he's supposed to be really boring. Could you give him the benefit of the doubt? Try it out for yourself. See how it goes. Suppose we flipped it. And suppose among the faculty, and I assure you we put a stop to this. We really have a very strict culture. But suppose faculty members actually would say, oh, Anita. See, we don't have an Anita in this class. I had to think hard. Anita whines all the time. Just don't pay any attention to her. Could you imagine what happened if that got around a faculty, and the second that Anita comes to you on a clerkship or to ask you for help after class, what are you going to think first about her? Can you come up with 5 or 6 other explanations? Maybe Anita's really passionate about what happens, and if you can challenge her passion in a correct direction, that would really, What about patience? Suppose it's a handoff on a weekend. You're going away for the weekend, you're discussing with the rest of the team coverage of one of your patients who's ill, She may call over the weekend, and you started off by saying, oh my gosh, this is a patient who just doesn't take his medicines, and he's non-compliant, and no matter what we do, he can't bring his blood pressure down because he won't take his meds. Can you think of 3 to 5 reasons why he may not be taking his meds? Maybe, elderly, he's a sole caretaker for his wife, someone maybe whom he met as a teenager. They've been married for 50 years or so. This is a deeply personal story, by the way. And maybe his wife is beginning to descend into Alzheimer's. And he's so overwhelmed with taking care of himself and her, he just can't think to take his medicines every day. Maybe he's taking so many medicines at different schedules, he can't possibly keep it all together. It's something we call in medicine polypharmacy. How many other explanations can you come up with so that when that patient does call or the patient comes back to clinic, you're not thinking the worst of them, you're giving them a chance? Now, I have one other thing I want to share with you. I was walking through Beaumont, and I still practice medicine at Beaumont, so I'm going to see medical students in the hall all the time. And 2 of our finest M2s, second-year medical students from last year, emerged from the library. And they are very, very depressed. I know them. We actually get to know you fairly well. And let's call them Alice. I don't think we have an Alice in the school. And Francis. I don't think we have a Francis in the school. And they're best friends. And what makes it so neat is they come from 2 totally different cultural backgrounds. And they bonded. It's one of the kind of neat things about OUWB and its diversity. So I asked a question to Alice. I said, gee, you've looked a lot happier to me. And she said, Dean Fulberg, I am so worried about step 1. So for those who don't get the lingo, that's the first part of the licensing examination. I just know I can't do it. I know academically the student can do it. So instead of counseling her, I said the following. I said, Alice, you just said you can't do it. Would you ever turn to your friend Frances and say, hey, Frances, I'm convinced you can't pass step 1? She was horrified. I said, I would never have that conversation. So why are you having that conversation with yourself? Can you give yourself the benefit of the doubt as you go through? Because all of this is important to being the type of physicians that we really want you to be from this medical school. Because again, it's not just what you do, it's who you are. This came into great focus when a couple of weeks ago, U.S. News & World Report declared that Beaumont Hospital, Royal Oak, was the #1 rated hospital in Michigan. We talked about that. And in the press release that accompanied that came from Beaumont, Dr. Wood, our chief medical officer, wrote the following. He said, through the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, we are training new doctors in the science of high-quality medicine delivered with compassion, the hallmarks of a top-ranked hospital. So that came from within, and we were very grateful to you, David, for that observation. Last week, July 29th, the Detroit News ran an article about OUWB. They quoted from medical students and administration, and they also quoted from Dr. Carol Aschenbrenner, who is retiring now. She is the Chief Medical Education Officer of the Association of American Medical Colleges. That's the umbrella organization of all allopathic medical schools, MD degree-granting medical schools in the United States. And Dr. Aschenbrenner said the following. She said that the school's approach to training doctors goes beyond developing just courses. Here's the quote. A lot of schools have something similar to their curriculum, referring to us, to help physicians as people, but nothing to the degree that OUWB has. That was awesome, coming from the Chief Education Officer of the AAMC. And she continued, and she said, any school that is new has the greatest opportunity to innovate. When new medical schools were announced, our hope was that they would depart from the traditional ways and give us something different, and OUWB is doing that. So when we gathered on Monday, we spoke of that patch, and there is a replica of that in the inset to your program. 2 circles. The white coat that you have just received and put on is a symbol to the public that you're a physician. And to be honest with you, not every physician wears a white coat. Psychiatrists, pediatricians, many family medicine doctors don't wear white coats. But nevertheless, that's how the public perceives you. If you want to get really special about it, you can call the white coat a vestment. The public associates that with the profession of healing. Your white coat is special in another dimension because it has an OUWB patch that represents the fact that we are 2 communities. We are a community, a diverse and inclusive and caring community that has assembled to care for its community. That's the symbolism of the 2 circles. You've accepted the white coat, and you've accepted the white coat with a patch. So you're assuming the responsibility of becoming a physician. And I would now ask the class of 2018 to rise and affirm that commitment out loud. And because you're a community and you're going to be studying medicine with physicians, you're learning it for the first time, and other physicians continuing to renew their study of medicine, I will please ask all physicians in the room to rise and recite this oath along with you. Let me read this line by line, I a line, then you're repeating after me. At the time of being admitted as a member of the medical profession, I solemnly pledge to consecrate my life to the service of humanity. I will give to my teachers the respect and gratitude that is their due. I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity. The health of my patient will be my first consideration. I will respect the secrets that are confided in me even after the patient has died. I will maintain by all the means in my power the honor and the noble traditions of the medical profession.
I will maintain by all means in my power the honor and the noble traditions of the medical profession.
My colleagues will be my sisters and brothers.
My colleagues will be my sisters and brothers.
I will not permit consideration of age, disease or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender, nationality, political affiliation, race, sexual orientation, social standing, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient.
I will not permit consideration of age, disease, or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender, nationality, political affiliation, race, sexual orientation, social standing, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient.
I will maintain the utmost respect for human life. I will not use my medical knowledge to violate human rights, civil liberties, even under threat.
I will not use my medical knowledge to violate human rights and civil liberties, even under threat.
I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor.
I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor.
I ask the class of 2018 to remain standing, everyone else to be seated, and I ask everyone in the room to join me in congratulating the class of 2018 as they start to study medicine.